NCERT Physics Class 11th, 7th chapter, which is System of Particle and Rotational Motion. So in this situation, we have given two disks with moment of inertia I1 and I2 and rotating about their respective axis passing through the center and normal to the surface. So two disks are given with moment of inertia I1 and I2 and rotating with angular velocity omega 1 and omega 2. Now we had brought them in contact and finally they rotate with angular velocity, let's say omega. Initially, they are rotating with angular velocity omega 1 and omega 2, and finally, they rotate, let's say, with angular velocity omega. So, in this, we are supposed to find out the value of final angular velocity of the system. So, the final moment of inertia of the system can be written as I1 plus I2, as both are combined. So, final moment of inertia can be written as I1 plus I2. As for the system, we can say the net torque of the system is 0. Net torque is equal to 0. So we can say initial angular momentum is equal to final angular momentum. So initial angular momentum can be written as I1 omega 1 plus I2 omega 2. This is initial angular momentum, and final angular momentum can be written as I1 plus I2, that is final moment of inertia, into angular velocity final is that is omega. Now substituting that initial angular momentum is equal to final angular momentum, we have I1 omega 1 plus I2 omega 2 is equal to I1 plus I2 times omega, where omega is equal to final angular velocity. The value of omega comes out to be I1 omega 1 plus I2 omega 2 upon I1 plus I2. This is the value of final angular velocity. Now, the second part is asking about is that so that the kinetic energy of combined system is less than the kinetic energy of two disks. So in situation we are saying that one in the situation kinetic energy of one will decrease and kinetic energy of other will increase. So in between, when these are brought in contact, the frictional force will be acting, and the frictional force is initially kinetic in nature, and the work done by kinetic friction is negative. So due to this situation, the work done by kinetic friction is negative. So some part of energy of the system is lost in form of heat. Now, in order to find the value of the loss of the kinetic energy can be found as loss in kinetic energy can be found as kinetic energy initial minus of kinetic energy final. Now, in order to find the value of initial kinetic energy, so initial kinetic energy can be written as half I1 into omega 1 square plus half I2 into omega 2 square. And similarly, we can say that final kinetic energy of the system can be written as half I1 plus I2 into omega square. So we can substitute the value of omega in this expression to find out the value of final kinetic energy. And by taking the difference of these two, we can find the loss.